Chers passionnés, chers planespotters, bonjour et bienvenue dans cette nouvelle vidéo. Aujourd'hui, je me trouve à l'aéroport de Paris-Le Bourget pour le Salon international de l'aviation et de l'espace 2025. Et aujourd'hui, je vais donc vous amener avec moi dans cette vidéo découvrir le salon, les visites d'avion, les conférences de presse et bien plus. Alors, attachez vos ceintures, c'est parti! Nous nous retrouvons donc au Salon du Bourget pour cette 55e édition. Dans le cadre de ma mission avec Airways Magazine, nous nous sommes rendus au salon le dimanche 15 juin, la veille de l'ouverture, afin de pouvoir assister à l'arrivée des derniers avions au salon et de réaliser nos prises de vue. Et voilà l'arrivée de l'Embraer E195-E2 de KLM qui va bientôt rejoindre son grand frère, le E2 Tech Eagle, sur le static display du constructeur. Nice plane! Voici d'ailleurs le Tech Eagle en pleine mise en place sur son stand. Belle surprise aussi pour les passionnés de matériel militaire, l'arrivée du bombardier Global 6500 Saab Global Eye de l'armée de l'air des Émirats Arabes Unis au salon. Un avion que l'on ne voit pas si souvent en France. Vient ensuite JetBlue avec un magnifique Airbus A220 tout bleu. Je dois dire qu'entre KLM, JetBlue et le 777 de Qatar en livret spécial bleu, ce salon met en valeur la couleur du ciel. Ces tractages sont des moments privilégiés pour admirer ces belles machines de près et personnellement je n'en ai loupé aucune miette. Enfin vient ma star du salon, le magnifique Airbus A350-900 d'Emirates. La mise en place de l'appareil fut longue, mais elle nous a permis de prendre le temps d'admirer ce bel oiseau, que d'ailleurs nous visiterons plus tard dans cette vidéo. Sur le static display, nous retrouvons une compagnie aérienne familière des derniers salons aéronautiques, Riyad Air, avec cet Airbus A321 Neo. Riyad Air n'avait pas que cet Airbus en exposition, mais aussi un Boeing 787 Dreamliner, portant lui aussi cette seconde livrée. Et donc là, je me trouve juste à côté de la 321 XLR de Riyad Air. Alors, c'est pas vraiment leur avion parce qu'il est immatriculé donc FWWBZ, donc c'est un des 3 prototypes du XLR, donc fabriqué par Airbus. Donc cet exemplaire est au salon, donc pour faire la promotion donc de Riyad Air. C'est un des 3 prototypes du XLR donc d'Airbus. Voilà, je sais pas ce que vous en pensez. Moi, je trouve que la livrée est plus jolie que la livrée classique toute violette. Donc n'hésitez pas en commentaire à me dire ce que vous en pensez. Forte présence au salon qui montre la grande ambition de cette nouvelle compagnie afin de se faire une place dans la tête de tous les visiteurs. à côté se trouvait un Boeing C-17 Globemaster III de l'US Air Force. Un appareil de transport militaire, imposant par sa taille mais aussi par ses grandes capacités de chargement. Maintenant, passage au stand Embraer pour faire une visite extérieure de l'Embraer E2 de KLM. D'ailleurs, si vous souhaitez avoir un aperçu de l'intérieur de cet appareil, j'ai publié un flight review sur ma chaîne YouTube très récemment lorsque j'ai pris cet appareil pour me rendre à Amsterdam. Vidéo d'ailleurs que je vous invite à visionner sur ma chaîne, le lien est en description. L'Embraer E195-E2 est un appareil important pour KLM qui remplace leur flotte d'anciens Embraer avec cet appareil de nouvelle génération plus économe. Il est propulsé par deux réacteurs Pratt & Whitney PW1900G qui lui permet d'être 12,5% plus économe en carburant que les appareils concurrents. Personnellement, j'affectionne beaucoup l'Embraer E2, que je trouve vraiment magnifique, et c'est un appareil silencieux sur lequel j'ai vraiment apprécié voler. Et d'ailleurs, vous, qu'en pensez-vous? Dites-le moi en commentaire. Maintenant, direction le monde de l'aviation privée, en allant chez Gulfstream pour interviewer le directeur des opérations de démonstration et de vol d'affaires de Gulfstream à propos des G600 et G700.
Well, welcome aboard the 600. You know, Symmetry, when we started, and I was assigned to it from the beginning to help design it, we built for pilots by pilots, right? We drove the engineering on how we interface with it. You know, in the beginning, it was three primary rules that our leadership gave to us that we wanted to create. Design a flight deck by pilots for pilots, because at the end of the day, we're the one that execute and make sure the mission gets accomplished. Two, design an airplane that had more capability and functionality but was more intuitive. Think about that for a minute. That's not easy to do when we were in the land of MCDUs and a keyboard and a 4-inch piece of glass with 12 line select keys. And then in an airplane that we could walk up to, and if it's already fueled, taxi away in 10 minutes or less. When you can go 17 hours on a single tank of gas, then it's amazing to have more space so that we can be in this environment. So designing so that we had not only side sticks, but active control side sticks. So notice as I move the side stick, the other follows along, because we don't lose situational awareness between us. As pilots, you know, if I'm behind the airplane, you can see it. It's nonverbal communication that goes on between the crews. Touchscreens. Remember, the second edict was add more capability and functionality, but make it more intuitive. Touchscreens let us put information in a way in how we think. Like simple, you know, I can swipe left to right and I'm in the phase of flight menu structure. If I'm on the outboard side and I get a radio call, then I swipe top to bottom and I'm straight into the radios. If I need to go into the flight plan, then I go right to left and I'm in the flight plan. And swipe up for a checklist, phase of flight menu, so we have quick access. And then the overhead touchscreen, same. So we've got 7 screens and they all have their own information, and then if I put it all on one and I select something, you see that it affected every screen. So it gives us tertiary means of being able to access systems and then the distribution of that information. But then it's, you know, the flight deck is just one portion. The back cabin, you gotta imagine, this is an airplane that's meant to connect world. Things like we get to take advantage of, but also the customers. It's the noise level that reduces the fatigue. It's the cabin altitude that's extremely low so that your body's not working as hard. You're more rested on the other end of long missions. It's the holistic design that puts everything together, and it makes it an experience that's like no other. Well, we always account for any of our range numbers that we talk about are accounting for having 8 passengers on board. So 8 passengers, their bags, and then any reserve fuel that we need. And then it's at 0.85 Mach, as we talked about. That's our long-range cruise speed.
Okay.
And so this airplane goes 6,600 nautical miles.
Okay.
That you're connecting continents all over the world. And so our 700 will do 7,700 nautical miles, and now the 800, we'd promised 8,000, and we're 8,200 nautical miles.
Wow.
They literally make the world a small place. Oh, it was my pleasure. Thanks for coming and spending time with us.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a good day.
You too.
Maintenant, direction Qatar Airways, en nous rendant sur leur Boeing 777-300ER portant la livrée bleue du Paris Saint-Germain pour une visite de la cabine. Good morning. Hello. Cette dernière, B-Class, est composée de 42 sièges Q-Suite et de 312 sièges en classe économique. Les sièges Q-Suite sont en alternance de sièges faisant face dans la marche de l'avion et des sièges faisant face à l'arrière de la cabine. Sur les sièges centraux, il peut donc y avoir 4 sièges se faisant face et permettent ainsi de voyager en famille avec l'ouverture des panneaux de chaque suite. Chaque siège se transforme en lit plat et permet ainsi de se reposer sur des très longs vols. Voilà la classe économique en configuration 3-4-3. Et cerise sur le gâteau, passage dans le cockpit avec un échange agréable avec l'un des 2 pilotes.
I know you guys have some good content.
Thanks. It's because we are passionate about aviation.
Yes.
Maintenant direction le chalet Airbus avec la toute première commande du salon. Retrouvez d'ailleurs le détail de toutes les commandes qui ont été effectuées au salon du Bourget sur le site internet d'Airways Magazine.
Yes, a joyful occasion. This is the first order announcement of the Paris Air Show 2025. Boeing leasing company based in Saudi Arabia as a new Airbus customer. And it's not every day that we have the occasion to welcome a new customer in the family.
Avilease is an aircraft leasing company that was launched 3 years ago by the PIF. We worked throughout the last year with key stakeholders, airlines, GACA, etc., to look at the different options available in the market, and we ended up selecting the A350 freighter. So I'm very pleased to have afforded that aircraft, and we'll announce the numbers in a minute. The second part of the order is a A320 family order, which really is a bread and butter of aircraft leasing companies, right? And it's a four-pronged element of the investment strategy of Avilease. So with that, I'm very, very pleased to announce an order of up to 77 aircraft 22 aircraft on the A350 side and 55 aircraft on the A320 family side. So thank you very much, Airbus, for your confidence. We look forward to building a strong and vibrant relationship together. Thank you.
Maintenant, direction Safran pour l'inauguration de la nouvelle business class de All Nippon Airways.
Absolute pleasure to be here with all of you today, and especially with ANA and Acumen for this wonderful celebration and unveiling of this product. And sense of privacy. Each journey becomes a moment of well-being, truly making passengers feel at home in the sky. 1, 2, 3.
And we are truly grateful for your continued support. First, we ANA would like to thank Safran Seats for providing ANA with this opportunity to attend the Paris Air Show, the world's largest aviation event. And front-facing and rear-facing in the opposite direction. This enables the Boeing 787, a mid-sized aircraft, to provide the same spatial experience as a large aircraft such as Boeing 777. You can relax like sitting on a sofa in your living room with a pre-reclining system. So sitting like a sofa in your living room.
A very nice comfortable space of the seat, and you also have the space for storage right under here and also here, where you can store your waters or everything. Your headset will be on here, and you will also have the USB Type C and A over here, and also universal electrical plug over here. And you also have when you look at the front screen, you will have the 24 inches of monitor size, which you can also reach by your hand. And you also have the controller over here, which might be difficult to show right here.
Okay.
And there is also a lighting switch. All the functionality switches are located, concentrated over here. And you also have the leading light over here, where you can, well, it's a mock-up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So, and you also have the seat belt over here, which you got the 3 triangle over here. And when you are going to sleep, this wrench will go up, and you will have a space to stretch over here. It's about 197 centimeters, so it's approximately 2 meters.
Okay.
This is just a mock-up, so we do have a similar angle seat on the right side. And if you're sitting with a couple, it's okay to open it. But if you don't know the guy who is next to it, you can just close it. Well, we reduce. Well, it's about which to compare. Okay, we have a very similar product in 777.
Yes.
And compared to that, we reduced approximately 20 to 30% of the reduction rate.
Je me suis ensuite rendu au chalet Boeing pour assister à un briefing pour en savoir plus sur les avancées du programme 777X. Avant, j'ai pu voir une maquette du futur 777-8F ainsi qu'un mock-up de la cabine fret de l'appareil.
It's my privilege today to tell you about this family of aircraft, and we'll walk through each aircraft and give you a bit of understanding about the product. Quick size references to give you some orientation of these products. You'll notice that the 777-8 passenger variant and the 777-8F are the same structural platform. They are the same body length. This means that the 777-8 freighter is a full 7 meters longer than the 777-200 freighter. That's 7 additional full pallet positions. It also has significant more structural capability, so 11 tons of additional payload capability. And it brings with it, of course, all the efficiency of the new product. 200 seats smaller than an A380. So there's a huge section of the market that Airbus doesn't have a product to offer into, and that's where the 777X family is really important. So in addition to the 777-8 being a size for size, really a direct replacement for 777-300ERs that will begin aging out, say 15, 20 years from now. Still, the fleet is relatively young. Those airplanes will need replacement in the coming years. This is not just a larger 777. This is a significant variant of our 777 that you see in service today. And I'll walk through some of the major changes. Most significantly is this new wing. We call it a high-span wing. It's innovative in the sense that the span of this wing has been so significantly increased. So it's a 72-meter or 235-foot wingspan. It's beyond the airport's capability to accommodate. And so we've added this unique folding wingtip capability that allows us to operate without constraints in today's airports, but it unlocks for us the performance of being able to operate with this very high-span wing. So we've kind of unleashed ourselves, if you will, from what's typically been a performance constraint for airplanes of this size. But it's actually about 10% less thrust than we have on today's 777. That's the magic of the wing. It allows us to operate this airplane at lower thrust than today's 777, and of course, just reducing the thrust alone gives us a gain in efficiency for how much fuel this airplane burns. We've sold 535 of these 777X products. It's 20% more efficient than on a per seat basis than a 777-300ER in terms of fuel burn per seat. It's 10% more efficient than the A350-1000. That's the power of this product. It's why the demand is there for this product. We are in the final stages of flight testing for the 777-9, moving towards certification, and this airplane will enter service in 2026. The Dash 8 freighter will follow, entering service in 2028, and the Dash 8 passenger airplane at the end of the decade. It's a great airplane. I think some people have taken pause and they look at the capability of the airplane, and maybe they make comparisons to the 777-200LR and say, oh, okay, I don't need ultra long range, so I don't need that airplane. But it is a size for size replacement for the 777-300ER that is significantly more efficient than the 777-300ER and more efficient than the A350-1000. So we believe as we get closer to availability, and of course, airlines' planning window in terms of how far out they will purchase aircraft has its boundaries on it. So we need to get a little closer to when that airplane would be entering service, and maybe a little closer to when we start looking at the start of 777-300ER replacements. But we think there's a big market for 777-8s.
Après Boeing, direction Airbus pour la visite de mon avion favori du salon, l'A350-900 d'Emirates. Allez, embarquons tous ensemble pour une visite de la cabine.
Fine and you?
Great, thank you for asking.
Right, thank you.
Et bienvenue dans la cabine Emirates. Ici se trouvent les 32 nouveaux sièges business class en cuir véritable, tous convertibles en véritable lit plat. Chaque siège dispose également d'un grand écran tactile 4K de 23 pouces. Une cabine avec des couleurs plus claires et un design un peu plus épuré que l'ancienne. De mon côté, j'apprécie. Vient ensuite la Premium Economy avec 32 sièges Recaro PL3530 en configuration 2-3-2.
So it's all electric.
First it's through the glass,
Okay.
and then it's completely black out with the Gartree.
Okay.
Enfin, la cabine économique se compose de 259 sièges en configuration 3-3-3 et offre ainsi un espace à bord important. Chaque siège dispose d'un pitch de 32 pouces ainsi que d'un écran tactile 4K de 13 pouces. Autre appareil présent sur le stand Airbus, l'A220 de JetBlue. Allez, on rentre à l'intérieur. Nous retrouvons ici une cabine au ton gris clair et foncé, en full économique en configuration 3-2, avec 140 sièges Colin Meridian, 30 en économie Even More Space à l'avant et 110 sièges économie standard à l'arrière. Retour dans le monde des jets privés, avec une visite sur le stand de Qatar Executive avec leur impressionnant Gulfstream G700. Cette luxueuse cabine, équipée de sièges en cuir beige clair, d'un sofa et d'une chambre à coucher, peut embarquer 13 passagers sur plus de 14 000 km de distance. Ce fut de loin la plus belle cabine que j'ai jamais vue. Des sièges magnifiques, un intérieur agréable avec un parfum d'ambiance, de la musique et surtout une partie chambre à coucher à couper le souffle. Matériaux nobles comme le cuir et le bois, design épuré, cette cabine est vraiment magnifique et montre ce que l'industrie aéronautique sait faire de mieux. Retour chez Embraer pour visiter le E2 Tech Eagle. Cet appareil, aux côtés du Tech Lion que nous avions vu ici même il y a 2 ans, et le Tech Shark, est un des prototypes d'Embraer, permettant de montrer les aménagements intérieurs possibles de l'appareil, ainsi qu'effectuer des démonstrations en vol. Cette année, des pingouins ont fait leur apparition en cabine pour le plaisir des visiteurs. Coup d'œil à cette safety card absolument magnifique. La partie classe économique expose plusieurs versions de sièges différentes disponibles pour les compagnies aériennes clientes. Et pour terminer ce salon, passage chez ATR pour découvrir leur ATR 72600 et cet exemplaire en cours de test avant livraison à Azul. la responsable marketing compagnie aérienne de chez ATR, va nous faire un tour de la cabine et du cockpit.
So welcome to the ATR 72-600. So we are here looking at the latest variant of the ATR family. So here we see the nice modern 600 series cabin. This is an aircraft that is fitted with 72 seats. It's the standard configuration for this aircraft. We have on this aircraft very modern, comfortable seats, which are made by Jevon, an Italian manufacturer. And the seat model is called Neo Prestige. So these are very modern, light, slim seats, and they are very wide. So we have actually 18 inches of intra-armrest width, which is a similar standard of comfort that you can find on bigger mainline aircraft. So that's for the seats. They have really been designed for ergonomic experience. So we have, for example, a very nice and slim design here at knee level that allows to actually densify the cabin without losing passenger comfort. Now I could also speak about the overhead bins. So the 600 series on the ATR has these very nice large overhead bins where 2/3 of the passengers can actually fit large standard IATA-sized roller bags. So that's great for the passenger experience and also for saving space in the main cargo holds of the aircraft, which are located at the rear and on both sides of the entrance at the front. As you can see, there is a nice sensation of space in this cabin. So that's due to, I would say first, to the physical dimensions of the fuselage. So we have a very nice floor width, which is uncomparable to other aircraft types in the regional segment. So 2 meters, 26 centimeters of floor width, 1 meter, 91 centimeters of height. So even taller persons can really stand up and, put their baggages in the bins without any issue. We have also modern LED lighting, which is contributing to the overall experience in the cabin. And I could also mention, once again, in relation to the overhead bins, these nice sliding doors, which are actually sliding behind the bin, and that way they are not, the doors are not obstructing the light. And so that also contributes to the overall feeling. What else could I mention? We have the passenger service units here, and we have this nice blue light here. That is our version of the mood lighting. So it's a nice touch, can be switched between blue and white in this aircraft. I could also mention about the connectivity solutions. So this year, in fact, we have launched internet connectivity for the ATR together with Starlink. So now passengers can actually access World Wide Web when flying on this aircraft. So once again, it's really a seamless experience transiting from mainline aircraft to the regional ATR. Welcome to the ATR 600 series cockpit. So this is a full digital cockpit that is made by Thales, our French partner. And so as you can see, it's a very modern and ergonomic working environment for the pilots here with 5 liquid crystal display screens. We have on this aircraft all the latest navigation capabilities on the PBN front, for example. So LPV, RMPAR 0303, Barovinav. So it's really a modern cockpit that allows the aircraft to fly even into challenging terrains.
Merci à tous d'avoir regardé cette vidéo sur le 55e Salon du Bourget. J'espère qu'elle vous aura plu. Merci à mes amis de l'équipe Airways Magazine pour la couverture média réussie de ce salon. Je vous invite d'ailleurs à vous rendre sur le site internet du magazine ainsi que les réseaux sociaux si vous souhaitez en savoir plus sur les autres actualités du salon. Dites-moi en commentaire si vous aussi vous étiez au salon et quel a été votre moment préféré. Si cette vidéo vous a plu, je vous invite à mettre un like, à partager cette vidéo et bien sûr à vous abonner et à activer la cloche pour ne pas louper les prochaines vidéos. Et je vous dis donc à bientôt sur la chaîne Icarsmotor.